right, listen up. This is the Music Scene Podcast. I am your host, Dave Cudrak. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Today is Friday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. I don't know if you celebrate Valentine's Day, but if you do, I hope it's a good one. Today is also the day that Philadelphia is holding the Super Bowl parade for the world champion Philadelphia Eagles. So if you're going down there, please be safe, have fun. Today on the show, I have Jason Ager. A lot of you probably know him in the South Jersey scene. He's been kind of all over. I learned a lot about Jason because haven't really had a chance to talk with him at length prior to doing the podcast with him. I had no idea that Jason has as much music released as he has. I think he's somewhere in the ballpark of 50 songs, which is amazing. So after I spoke with him, I did a deep dive on Apple Music and really dug into his catalog, and he has some amazing stuff. You know, I do everything I can to, support local music, support original music here in South Jersey. But I guess that it was a little bit surprising to me, or eye-opening, that he's got so much music out there and I have never heard any of it. I didn't know any of it existed. And I'm glad that I found out about it. And I hope you guys check it out too, because it's really, really good music. He's got some great originals, and he also puts a spin on some very popular covers as well. So go to Apple Music, go to Spotify, wherever you stream music, and look up Jason Ager. You certainly won't regret it. We get 2 songs from Jason at the end. One song his daughter helped him write. It's a very positive song, which is something that I think the world needs more of right now. I hope you guys really enjoy it. Here is my conversation with Jason Ager. So we're here with Jason Ager. Jason, thanks for coming. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Nice. So I know you. I don't think I've ever seen you perform. So I'm actually excited to see your performances at the end here. Cool. But I know you from booking. You book gigs for Pine Tavern Distillery.
Absolutely.
Is that the only place you book gigs for, or other places too?
These days, I've worked in the past for a couple different people. Mm-hmm. I worked at World Cafe Live a little bit.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
nice.
Helping out with their primary booker, Christina LeBuzz at the time.
Okay.
And so I was just like reviewing contracts and things like that, looking at riders, making sure people had stuff on riders that were acceptable.
Okay.
You cannot ask for batteries. Like that was one of their big things. They will not.
Really?
And they do not give like food to leave. You can get food there, but you can't have food like before you go.
No
like,
take home. No
takeout. Yeah.
That's fine.
So anyway, I worked there for a little bit, and then I helped out with some other kind of singer-songwriter events and shows over the years in different cities.
Yep.
I used to be a part of this thing called the 9 Songwriter Series out of DC.
What was that?
It was like kind of like not a variety show, but like there were 9 songwriters on the bill, and the whole thing was like you had to collaborate with people. Okay. So you get 3 songs of your own total, like 2 in the first set, 1 in like the encore set, and
right.
I used to help out Justin Trawick, the guy who ran the whole thing, to kind of book it in a couple different places, and we booked a couple up here over the years. So I've been around the booking world for a while, but right now, currently, the only venue I handle is Pine Tavern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah.
And I know you've played a couple gigs there yourself, right?
Yeah, I'm there a couple times a year, like about 6 times a year.
Okay.
Cool. and or if somebody has to drop out and I got to fill in.
Is that how it works? If you don't, yeah.
That'll happen. If I can't find somebody like, hey, you want to come up and play?
Right.
Sometimes it's like too short notice. Like this past weekend I was there for a Saturday, which I'm usually not. I usually do Fridays there.
Oh, okay.
Because I usually bring my fiddle player Bob and
gotcha.
Yep. Yeah. So occasionally I'll fill in like a Saturday and do it. If I couldn't find somebody else. But
right. So what's your live gig look like now? I mean, I think you've got a couple of projects.
Yeah,
don't you?
I do. I kind of dabble a little bit. I mean, I do the singer-songwriter thing, and everything kind of branches off of that. So I have like a bluegrass trio that I do a lot of stuff with.
What's that called?
it's the same group. It's like Jason Ager and the Golden Eagles.
Okay.
And so this happens to be like the bluegrass trio.
Gotcha.
And so it's upright bass and guy, Bob Tangria, he switches between mandolin and fiddle. Mm-hmm. Sometimes guitar if we have a song kind of that asks for it.
Right.
He's pretty proficient in all instruments.
Oh, yeah?
It's
Nice.
amazing to see him play. Yeah, he's like my idol.
Okay.
Older brother kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then I have like a blues trio with like drums and bass. Mm-hmm. The bassist is the same guy from both bands. So like we have that kind of like core sound. Mm-hmm. But the blues trio is more like we cover ZZ Top stuff, and
nice.
we have a bunch of original stuff that we do too. But like if you keep looking for like a vibe, it's definitely a bunch of bearded guys playing some songs
Nice.
in breweries and bars.
There you go. There you go. So are your sets a mix of original and covers?
Yeah, I mean, I did the original thing for years, man.
Okay.
Like probably for the first. I mean, I started playing like live venues, like traditional bars and stuff, like when I was 18.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was like not supposed to be there.
Right.
Like a couple of different places, like the Pontiac Grill, which was like where it became a.
I know that place. Where is that place?
It became Dobbs on South Street. Now it's like nothing again.
Right.
But so like back when it was the Pontiac Grill, I'm dating myself. It's probably like 25 years ago. But I was like 18 years old playing there, And then like we played at the Grape Street. When it still existed, when we were underage,
sure,
and now it doesn't exist. I can tell them the stories, But, so like I did like original stuff forever, like I want to say like the first 10 years of playing out live. So I was about 28 or so.
And it was all original?
Like mostly, yeah. Like I mean, I do covers here and there. Like we had a couple bar gigs that we do, but we never really. We try to play most of the original stuff, like filled in with covers.
Gotcha.
And then like as we got a little bit older, and your draw changes a little bit as you as you get a little older.
Right,
like
sure.
who comes out and sees you. Everybody's got kids and stuff, and different things they got going on, jobs and travel and whatever. And so like, you used to be able to put 100 people in a venue to see you play your original stuff.
Okay.
And then it dwindles a little bit. And, at least in my experience, I didn't have this ascendancy in my career that I wish I had, but,
sure.
but
the scene also changes
it changes
right?
too. Yeah. And like I moved a lot too. So like I lived in DC and Baltimore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so like I had to like reestablish myself in every single one of those cities every time I went.
Yeah. And
so when I moved to DC, in 2006, 2007.
Okay.
I was there about between there and Baltimore for about 5-6 years, seven years, something like that. That's when I started like doing more, cover gigs, so to speak. Like I didn't do it at first. I kind of really was like anti-cover gig. I was like, I'm never gonna do cover gigs.
I was the same way back in the day. I was in an original rock band a long time ago, and I was like, we don't do covers. We're too good for covers.
Exactly. And like little did I know, like I wish I had like pulled my head out of my own ass like at that point in time and like, smarten up, that's where the money's at, like because like I want to be realistic, it's a a drop in the ocean, the people who actually get into these like larger careers where they're touring nationally and packing venues, playing their own stuff. It's a hard travel,
right.
And so like being I used to like bristle at like the notion that I was a working musician versus a touring musician. Like, screw you guys, you touring musicians. Look down on us working music. Yeah. I had this friend, her name was Angela Chic. And I went to this like panel she was on at the Queen in Wilmington. Okay. Back in like probably about 10 years ago. Yeah. Because she lives in LA now. She's great. I love her. She's awesome. Yeah. But I remember her one time talking about like the difference between touring musicians and working musicians. And I felt like
I didn't even know there was a difference, really. I don't see them as different.
Yeah, I mean, like I guess a lot of people do, like in the world that she's in. She's in the more like the touring musician world, right? Where like she's going to different cities and playing the same set, to the different groups every day, every night. Like whereas if you're like a cover musician, you're probably playing different sets 3 times a night. You know what I mean? Like the difference being, you depend upon your draw. In other places, if you're a touring musician, whereas a working musician, you're kind of playing to the crowd that's there. Right. Sometimes you get a great draw that comes to see you. Sure. But, the places you work for generally expect you to perform for hours. So, like, I used to, like, really, like, it used to grate on me, like, what am I, not good enough to be like, you know, whatever.
Right.
But then like I think I've like outgrown that. Like now I just do what I do. Like,
Good.
I'll put some of my own songs in like, you know, a night of, you know, a couple hours of music and you know, do some stuff. But like when I play with the band, I try to do more original stuff.
Okay.
Because then like, you know, there's people you can lean on there to kind of make your original stuff sound more something.
Gotcha.
You know?
Gotcha.
And then like the one thing I've always like thought about, like, you know, even if I am like a working musician trying to like, you know, do a couple of my original songs here and there, you know, I kind of I take a little pride, maybe what it is, like in the song choices.
Oh, yeah.
Like you know, like there's like something to that. Like I'm like, I'm actively curating a night of music for someone.
Right.
Like,
and sometimes it changes in mid-flight based on who's there. Who's there, right?
I mean, I get compliments. I mean, I'm not to like toot my own horn, but like I get compliments all the time. People are like, yo, I've never heard anybody do Jethro Tull.
Yeah, nice.
Out loud.
Nice.
I'm like, dude, let me hear 3 more. Here we go. Like, you know, like I'll do that. Like, you know.
That's all right.
Because like, you know, it becomes a thing where it's like, you know, you get a chance to really kind of tailor someone's experience, and by like the song choices, and like that's something I kind of take pride in, like picking out cool songs that people like don't think about or haven't heard in a while,
right?
Or that kind of thing, and then like twisting them a little bit too, like giving them your own spin. Like we do with the Bluegrass Trio, we do like and we're going in the studio real soon with a local guy here in Jersey to record, and we're doing a bluegrass version of Psycho Killer.
Oh, really?
It works really well. And so like, yeah, we kind of do some
Talking Heads, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we do some kind of like really cool covers like that. Like we do a version of Sledgehammer.
Okay.
And like
Gabriel.
In like a very folky style with like fiddle and upright bass.
Oh,
and
that's
like, it's
awesome.
like we kind of like our own rhythm to it. It's funky, but it still has like this. It's like very acoustic music kind of thing. So, you know, like I said, I try to do more original stuff with the band.
Sure.
Sometimes when you're out doing like a 3-hour gig by yourself, it's I'm not always as inspired to do like original songs.
Yeah, I hear you.
But a place like Pine Tavern, like I really love that joint because sometimes it turns into like a listening room.
Yeah,
like you can like turn people on.
Yep,
you know?
I've had a few gigs there where sometimes I'm background music, but then other times like people kind of lock in.
Yeah.
You know, they dig what you're doing, and the whole audience just locks in.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. So like, you know, those places are not a dime a dozen. They're few and far between.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I'm trying to like figure out those places for me, you know, as I kind of continue to gig and play. But I'm out like 100 nights a year. You know, I try to stay pretty active.
Yeah.
Not as active as you are, but I'm out there a good amount, you know.
Yeah. I'm not out there that much more. I think I do about 120, 130 a year, I think.
But you're out doing open mics and stuff.
Well, yeah, I host an open mic every other weekend. Yeah, and then I've got this podcast thing. So yeah.
This is great. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks. So how long have you been doing it? When did you start?
So doing like the
Well, where did your whole journey start from? Like when did you first start like playing whatever instrument you started with?
Yeah, so I got my first guitar when I was 14. I played piano before that for years.
Oh, cool.
My mom kind of got me into playing piano, took lessons for like 10 years and never really got that great at it.
Okay.
I mean, arguably I'm not that great at guitar either, but you know, I can play a little bit, you know. I'm you know, probably intermediate, maybe a little bit of intermediate mid, kind of a little bit higher than, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, with the guitar, like I never took a lesson. I kind of learned from my older brother, who was a really good player.
Oh, cool.
And so kind of picked up like Leonard Skinner. Like that was like the band I listened to, like learn my like playing. And,
right.
You know, there's no better guitar players out there than Leonard Skinner. But
sure.
Like, you know, I started gigging when I was like, and like when I say gigging, we were playing like the local VFWs and that kind of stuff, like, you know, or like the local car shows that let like the local kid band play for a little bit.
Yeah.
So I had a band in high school called Blue Zephyr.
Blue Zephyr, nice.
And we had a bunch of originals and we did that kind of thing. Played like, you know, wherever we could play, wherever they let us play. You know, the high school dances, they let us play a couple songs.
Right.
And so then I kind of like did that for a while. And then in college we took the core trio of guys and we kind of made this little like funk trio. Okay. That really that was pretty. That was like that kept us pretty busy all throughout like our college years, like 18 to 22. We were playing in clubs like, you know, Grape Street and Royal Cafe Live and you name it. We were playing like that scene a lot when we lived in Philly. Then like, you know, like life happens. You know,
sure.
Like I moved abroad. I moved overseas for a year.
Oh, did you? Where'd you go?
Like, I lived in Vienna, Austria.
Oh, that's I don't think I've been to Vienna, but I've been to Innsbruck. I went to Innsbruck on a snowboarding trip. And
hey, very
amazing,
cool.
Dude, amazing.
Yeah, Austria is Yes.
So
coolest place in the
what
world.
took you to Austria?
I received a Fulbright fellowship after college.
I don't know what that is.
So Senator Fulbright created this program in like I want to say like the 50s or late 40s or 50s, because he kind of saw this need for foreign language acquisition for Americans. Like we were at a deficit in the Second World War because we didn't have enough people who spoke foreign languages.
Right, translators and all that stuff.
And all that kind of stuff. Like and just like kind of cultural knowledge about other places. So he started this programs funded by the federal government.
We need more of that nowadays, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, the Fulbright program still exists. You can apply for the fellowships right at the end of college. It's kind of like your time, and then you can apply for it in grad school as well. But so it's like a national pool. Like you apply and they pick they pick a group of people. I was like one of 20.
That's awesome.
To go to Austria. Like Germany had like 100 people go there. But it's pretty competitive. So like it's kind of it was a nice little feather in my cap.
Yeah, man, that's awesome.
So I got to go live there on the American dollar.
Very cool.
Or the American taxpayer's dollar.
Right. Yeah, Did you live with a family? Was it like
no?
So
I was
you had your own place.
22. I worked for one of the local high schools as like a language assistant. Like I talked English to their kids.
Okay.
And I took classes at the University of Vienna.
Wow.
So it was like a cool little experience. And
That's
then
awesome.
Then I came back and I went to grad school and did the whole thing. Got my doctorate degree in German. And so like I taught German.
Dude, you're no joke. Look at the big brain on Jason.
I dabble. I dabble in a lot of stuff. Like I'm still pretty, I dabble in a lot of things. But anyways, so I moved to all these places mostly because of academic stuff.
Sure.
And then while I was there, I kind of like established musical roots. Like I was lucky enough, like when I lived in Austria, I got to play for the Donauinselfest.
Oh, really?
Which was like the largest outdoor festival in the world.
Right.
I got put on like some random stage with like kids from the school I taught in.
Right.
Because this guy, like Hubert Waldner, was like, he was like this flute extraordinaire, but he was like the high school musical teacher. Like he just taught music at the high school. He's like, "Oh, you're a musician. Come play for us." And I was like, "Okay,
sure."
Didn't know what I was getting into.
Yeah, right.
And it was like this huge. I saw Nena play the same friggin' festival like later that night. Like I heard 99 Luftballons. Like it was like friggin' nuts, man. But I played early in the day. Trust me. No one knew who I was.
But still, you were there.
I was there. I played the festival. I had to carry my guitar around all day. I had proof of it.
It's like if you get invited to play Coachella at like 6 o'clock in the morning.
Doesn't matter.
You still played Coachella.
Right. I played Donauinselfest. Yeah. So like when I moved to DC to go to Georgetown for my doctorate degree, and like I got to know like musicians there because I lived down the street from this really awesome club and cafe. It was called the Iota. It doesn't exist anymore, but like had the most badass open mic night.
Oh, really?
Ever.
Nice.
Like it was a listening room. Like everybody shut up when everybody played. Like they asked you to be quiet. They asked you to listen. You had to like come in. Like people would fight to sign up. Like it was
sounds
one of those.
Sounds like the Bluebird Cafe in Nashville.
Similar kind of vibe. Yeah, except for there weren't like Toby Keiths walking in. Like it was definitely Northern Virginia still, but But to this day, like a lot of the friends I have from DC music scene are from the Iota. Like that guy Justin Trey, like I mentioned. A friend of mine, Renee Moffat's coming in for the Singer-Songwriter Festival in Cape May.
Okay.
And so like he's like, "Yo, are you going to play it?" And I was like, "I don't know anything about it." He's like, "Apply for it." So like I'm going to be playing that now. So like, exciting. Nice. But like like these guys I met all like playing at this place. So like and then I moved to Baltimore. Same thing happened. Like I just started like hanging out with musicians in the area.
Awesome. So what took you to Baltimore?
My wife got a job at Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital.
Oh, cool.
So for her postdoc, she was there, and so I was commuting from Baltimore down to DC. So I was like still playing gigs down there, living in Baltimore, playing gigs in Baltimore, playing gigs in Philly. So I was like, there was a time when I was like actually like quote unquote touring and doing a lot more like original stuff. This was like probably about a decade ago, 15 years ago at this point. And so, when we moved to Jersey, it kind of became a little more insular. That's the only downside about the Jersey scene. Like it can be very incestuous. Like, and I don't mean like, I don't mean there's not great players here. There are great players, like definitely. But there's this weird thing about Jersey. I don't know. And maybe I'm not a Jersey guy. I'm like from Northeast Philly, so it's like that area of the world. Like when you live in Jersey, you don't like to leave Jersey. No one wants to cross the bridge.
Nobody wants to play gigs in Philly and stuff like that.
Right. And I still do those gigs, but like even now I find myself becoming more like that.
Right.
Like I'd rather go to Cape May and play a gig than go over like 30 minutes over into the city and play something like.
I know, it's crazy.
Like I still do those gigs, but so like when I came up here in 12 or so. You know, like I was still touring, like you know, playing gigs like all the way down to South Carolina, up to Maine, out to like Cleveland. We were running, playing shows. But
that's awesome.
The pandemic really kind of killed a lot of that for me, and I was just like, I kind of like reset myself, like and reset kind of some of my expectations. Not that I don't still dream of grandeur.
Sure. We all do.
Yeah,
we all do, no matter how old we are.
But you know, like I meandered in my answer there. You know, I'm sorry, not straightforward answer. But yeah, I've been doing it for a while. Like I guess since I was about 16, like out playing. And I just turned 43 yesterday.
Okay.
So.
I'm 52, man. You got plenty of time.
Well, there you go. I'm still working, you know.
There you go.
It's cool. I finished a song in the studio yesterday. I was very excited.
Congratulations.
About it. Yeah, no, I released 8 brand new songs last year.
Fantastic.
Whole heat ready to go this year.
That's awesome.
You know, that's becoming like the thing that I live for right now. It's like my studio time is like my coveted thing. Like,
okay, cool.
And a lot of times, like I'll use a lot of these, like, you know, more kind of, you know, working gigs to help me like pay for the creation aspect of things. So that's become my new like love. And I love playing out, but like I really want to like record new music.
I want to get there too, right? But it's like I'm a single dad. I've got my kids every other weekend plus some days during the week and stuff. So you know, and with kids comes, you know, expenses, obviously.
Absolutely.
So like I'm trying to my main focus is the podcast, and then also the, you know, my live gigs, right? Because the live gigs help pay the bills, you know what I mean? But I would like to get to a place eventually where I can just, you know, I don't have to worry about paying the studio, or like I'll have the money to, you know, to pay to get my stuff properly recorded. Right now I'm recording all my stuff at home. You know, at least I'm getting some of it out there, but it's a slow process. I'm still kind of learning how to do it all.
Actually, it's the best way to learn it. Like I didn't learn it until during the pandemic, when I was like, I'm going to record something. I recorded a song for it's my 40th song that I released out like in the world for my 40th birthday.
Nice.
And like I recorded all of it at home. Like I did the tuba, I did the accordion, I did the guitar, the bass, I did everything on the record. The harmonica, it's all me. Everything, harmonies, everything's me. And like it was all done in my basement, like, you know, or the kitchen table. You know, like, so like I was very proud of that process.
Very cool. Yeah.
But man, there's nothing more humbling than like like recording your own shit. It's a humbling thing.
And you've had this sense of, well, at least for me, I have this sense of accomplishment, you know, absolutely. Like, oh, it sounds so great and everything. And then like you step away from it for a day or two, and then you listen to it again and you're like, this sounds like crap.
I mean, I think that's part of the whole journey. Like, you know, it's there's none more critical, right, than like the musician trying to record something. Like, I saw this funny meme today. It was like a picture of a boat navigating through like this really narrow thing. It's like me playing an instrument, and like it's a picture of the boat. It's like sideways crashed onto the like in like a canal or something. And it's like me trying to play that instrument in the studio. Like it's and it's completely right. Like, you know,
it becomes a train wreck.
It becomes a whole thing. Like, you know, like I know I can do this, but like as soon as you get in the mindset of like, oh my god, I got to do this now. Like, it was for me, like, took me like a long time to kind of come to the, I don't know, it's not realization, but like it's almost like the level of like maturity. Like it took me years to figure out like, yo, I don't have to play everything on my records.
Right.
You know, like nowadays I'm very like, I'm proud of the fact that like I hire musicians.
Oh, I see what
like
you're saying.
I hire guys to come in and play different parts. I hire different, like right now currently I'm working with, I think like 3 to 4 different producers on different songs. Like I have a bunch of different little pokers and different fires.
Okay.
Because I think like it's the only way to really like learn the field of recording is to like be with different people with different processes, different approaches to music. You know, some guys are really all about the live thing. And some people are more like, let's polish it, you know, to its like utmost, you know, thing. So like I've kind of like gone different.
Well, that's great. I mean, you're getting exposed to different processes, different methods, different ideologies around recording, right?
And like being able to like release it, like, or to like not release the music, but like release the creativity. Like from like, or feeling like I had to create everything on the record has been like a burden lifted off of me, where it's like, oh shit, I don't have to do everything.
Well, sure.
I can like depend upon somebody else who's frankly probably more skilled than me, you know, in this particular, you know, arena or venue, you know, whatever it might be. You know, maybe they're a killer piano player, or they're like, I can play the part, or I can like muddle my way through a part that would sound like meh, it would sound okay. or I could get somebody who's like
Right.
wailing, like, you know, and it's like,
well, there's a reason why all those studio musicians from the 80s and 90s existed, right?
Yeah, the Wrecking Crew was there for a reason.
Exactly.
Like Muscle Shoals was there for a reason.
Exactly.
So I mean,
Steve Lukather, like all those guys.
All those guys.
You know?
Yeah, like pretty much the whole band of Toto and Steely Dan. Like,
Yep.
you know, those guys were all studio cats. You know? So like it was like not a humbling thing, but it was like it was humbling, yes, but it was also like a maturity thing where it's like, I can allow myself to be the creative one, like to create the thing,
right? To
kind of like hire the people, like that's a creative thing in and of itself. Like
absolutely.
Hiring the right musicians, getting the right people together, kind of giving them the guidance, and then you get to kind of sit back and produce. Like, nah, that's not what I'm looking for, you know? Like, it's like that, right. It kind of for me, it got to be very exciting to do that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And like, it would be too much for me to like, you know, for the amount of music I'm trying to release. It'd be too much for me to do everything.
Yeah, I mean, it would just bog you down in the details, right?
Yeah, and I'm more into this thing. Like, I want to release as much music as I can into the world. Like, and I'm not like really too worried about, you know, where it goes. I kind of just believe in the process. It's like Rick Rubin says, you know, like just create as much shit that you believe in. And like that you are passionate about.
Yep. Audience comes last.
And then let worry people, you know, worry about people listening to it or hearing it. Like, just create the stuff that you love. Yep. If you love it, that's all that really matters. Like,
exactly.
And he talks about it as like being like an offering to the gods, you know, kind of thing. Like in a very, very, you know, he's not like religious, I don't think, but like more esoteric. Like, you know, you offer that offering of art, you know, artistry or you know, creativity to like the ethos. You know?
One thing that took me a while to wrap my mind around was he said that if you don't do it, somebody else will. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it was like, well, wait a second. If I don't write this particular song I have in my head, that doesn't mean somebody else is going to write the same exact song, but it still means that like somebody else is going to do it. So if somebody's going to do it, you might as well be the one to do it, you know? Now,
he's a very interesting guy. Like, part of me like hates him. You know what I mean? Like this guy don't know shit about music. He doesn't know
he doesn't know how to play anything. He doesn't know how to work the knobs on all the recording equipment.
He's just good at getting people to do what they do best. Like, he's good at getting in a room with somebody and saying, I think you have a better take in you.
Right.
I think, you know, I think you need to embrace this thing, or like, you know, it's this weird, like, hands-off production, very like Buddha-esque, like go with the flow, very Taoist, like approach to the world. And I kind of love that about him, but I also like fucking hate it. Like,
I know,
it's
right?
Like, dude, man, why you? You know, like all the stuff he did with Def Jam and everything. Like, he's been a part of like so much
crazy, dude.
All the stuff he did with Chili Peppers. Crazy. He's produced the Avett Brothers. Like, the amount of people who've worked with him now is like just mind-boggling.
It is, and it's all different genres, everything.
It's not even about that for him. It's like he's just like this guy who like allows people to be passionate around him, and that's like there's something beautiful about that.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
Every time I was like an interview with him, like on like, you know, Facebook or Instagram, I'm like glued to it.
Yeah,
like,
me
this
too.
Dude is fascinating.
Yeah. I'm a big John Mayer fan, and
I love John Mayer,
man. John Mayer and Rick Rubin talked for like 2 hours in one of these podcasts out there. I listened to that thing maybe 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
You know, I can't get enough of it. And every time I listen to it, I hear something a little bit different. Like, or I get a new little nugget of wisdom out of one of those guys. It's awesome.
John Mayer's great. I saw him several times in concert. I saw him at the Ager Center in Philly. Yeah. Saw him out in Pittsburgh at a cool little outdoor venue.
Oh, okay. I saw him at the PG and PGP or whatever. The
big
arena,
stadium.
Yeah, the arena out there.
I saw him with this one. It was like down by the river on like, well, they're kind of like riverbanks. He's like kind of really coming out. So his first record. Yeah, he was like with Guster. Guster opened for him. Yeah. So cool. Yep. I saw him in the Ager Center in Philly when Maroon 5 was opening for him.
I saw Maroon 5 open for him in Camden. So it's probably the same tour.
Probably. Yeah. That's wild, awesome. Man. Yeah. No, I think John Mayer is one of the finest guitar players that has ever lived. Yep. And like, he might have been a douchebag for a good part of his career, and like people get hung up on like you know, obviously his like treatment of different girlfriends, Taylor Swift, all that stuff. But I think he's just like this like very insecure guy who's trying to like show the world what he can do, and like I think as he's gotten older, he's gotten increasingly cooler. Yeah, he's definitely gotten more mature and knows how to handle his fame better. Exactly, and if Bobby Weir is saying he's cool enough to play for Jerry, absolutely, standing and play for Jerry, like, you know. Like, they had Trey on the first tour, you know, like at Soldiers Field in Chicago or whatever. Like, and like, you know, shit. If they wound up with John Mayer, then like he's got to say something about him. Like, not that I don't love Trey, but like, you know. No, I get it. And like when Eric Clapton says to you, I've heard Eric Clapton talk about John Mayer, and he literally says, I don't think
he knows how good he is. You know?
I think he does.
And yeah, probably. But when you hear Eric Clapton say that about his playing, it's like Jesus. You know,
that's a guy, like, I love Eric Clapton, I do, but like I never got in his playing as much as like I did into other players. Like,
well, I'm kind of the same way. I'm more of a John Mayer, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eddie Van Halen, Angus Young. You know, like I'm more of those guys. I was never like a huge Clapton fan, although I did see him live way back in like the late 80s, early 90s maybe, and it was phenomenal. I was floored, but I was never like an avid follower.
We try to work on this song, you know, that song The Core he has.
The Core, I don't think I know it.
It's a kind of cool, he has a duet with him and a female singer, and it might have been from like the Derek and the Dominoes vague era, where he was doing like this very bluesy kind of stuff. It has that kind of vibe, but like we kind of we haven't, the lyrics are not really great. Like that's part of the Eric Clapton thing. It's like, you know, he was a great kind of adapter of blues music, but I don't really always love his original stuff.
That
like
makes
things
sense.
that he writes. Like sense. if he's using J.J. Cale source material, fantastic. You know, like, you know, if he's doing cocaine or something like that, like, all right. You know, that's all J.J. Cale though. All the writing. Right.
I think I saw a documentary somewhere that. In his early days, like he was with the Yardbirds and stuff, and that was really kind of what he wanted to do. He wanted to be like a guitar player, and then the people around him, and I guess whatever happened with the Yardbirds and stuff, like they were like, "Why don't you just start singing and do your own thing?" And he like reluctantly did it. It wasn't what he really wanted to do. Like I think, if I remember correctly, his real passion is just I just want to be a guitar player.
Play.
You know, but now he's out there as a singer and all that.
I mean, like, don't get me wrong, there's still like Eric Clapton songs I freaking love. But like I've never been as big of a fan of his, but like I love what John Mayer does, man.
Me too.
I think he's
me too.
And the acoustic stuff as well as like the electric stuff, just man, he just has it in spades. Like he's just really good.
Yeah, it's cool. About how many songs do you have released now? I didn't even realize that you had a whole lot of songs out.
Yeah, no, I like that was my 40th one when I turned 40, and then since then I've released. I put 8 out last year, brand new ones. So that's awesome. I guess around 48.
Okay, are they mostly singles, or did you release albums or EPs?
Initially, I like my first album out in 2000 and I think it was 11. Yeah, and I put another one out in 2013 and 2015, like actual full length stuff, like you know, 8, 7, 12 song, you know, kind of things. And then after that, like I put a couple EPs out. But like the way that the scene has trended is like shorter and shorter recordings. I admire the artists, you know, who put out like full length records, like, you know, even like somewhat local guys like these Jackson Pines, you know, those guys, like they put out full length records, like a folky music, and it's like, that's awesome. I wish I had like the wherewithal to like to kind of create something that's like an entire piece of artwork in that way. I get very distracted. And so like to have,
it's a lot of work to try to put out an album.
And I'm like I said, I'm very like, you know, caught between a bunch of different projects and things, and I think just like putting a single out here and there is kind of like the way for me I can feel like I'm accomplishing little chunks, you know.
You can work on an idea, get it out there, and then move on to the next one.
So we put an EP out last year, and it was like a 3-song you know, original EP, but we'd also done 3 covers that we put out too. One with like Sledgehammer, I was saying.
Right. And what name is it under?
Just Jason Ager. You know, for the most part.
So if anybody goes to Spotify or Apple Music, it's just Jason Ager. Right?
Just Jason Ager on all those different platforms. Like all
where
the
else?
Streaming.
Yeah, I was going to say where else? Like socials, it's all Jason Ager.
Those are just Jason Ager Music. You know, like Instagram or Facebook or wherever that you might be on.
Very cool.
I have 2 more now that are like ready to release, so that'd be like 50, I guess. And then it's crazy when you think of that, you know, like
it's a lot of work. It's a big catalog.
The Dead only put out like what, 160 some songs. Like, shit, I'm like a third of the way through what they did, you know. Like no, I don't know, it is a big catalog, you know. Am I super proud of some of the like original stuff? You know, like I will say this about my recording and my writing. I really humbly believe this, and maybe it's not a humble thing, maybe it's kind of like arrogantly believe this, but like I really earnestly believe that I have improved in everything every time.
I would think you would. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
practice makes perfect.
Exactly. Yeah. Like I've recorded so many different times, and now I'm to the point where like I know what I like. I know what it sounds. I think it sounds good anyways.
Yep.
You know, and I feel like every release that I've been putting out has like something really interesting, unique to offer.
Yeah.
And like that's taken me a long time to get to be able to like say that about myself.
That's great.
I try to be very careful in being too like braggadocious. I'm generally very insecure about things I create.
I hear you. It's a fine line between like, you know,
right.
between sounding like you're bragging, but
right.
then also you're allowed to be proud of your work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It took me a long time. So like the past, like, I guess probably since right before the pandemic, I like started releasing things that like, and not that I'm not proud of the first stuff. It's just like, you know, a friend of mine said to me one time, he's like, you can have a couple things. You can have 2 of 3 options when you record. You can have good, you can have fast, and you can have cheap.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And like, so in my first recordings, I don't know which of those things that I pursued the most, probably the cheap.
Right.
You know what I mean? So then was it as good as it could have been? Probably not, but it was relatively fast. I put out about 15 songs or 19 songs in the course of like 2 years.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So it was fast and it was cheap, but you lose out on the good.
Sure. Well, that's where I'm at now. I'm making stuff as cheap as possible.
Right.
Now, is it as good as it can be? No. Right. but I'm saving some money.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's honestly, I think that like that triangle, right, of those 3 different, like the length of those sides to that triangle will change.
Right. Right.
So now I'm to the point where like I'm releasing things very slowly. They're not coming out fast, and they're not cheap.
Well,
like,
yeah, if you're going to a studio and stuff.
Oh no, and I'm working with some people who deserve every penny they get. Don't get me wrong, but like you know, I'm paying the better part of $100 an hour you know, to have like some really good production. And
nice.
And I don't really mind impoverishing myself for that at this stage in my life, like. Because I really am loving like the music I'm putting out.
Yeah, man.
And like, and if it goes no further than that, like it's just been a very good cathartic thing, like to release stuff and to create. Yeah. I love I'm like a creator by nature. I've got, like I said, a bunch of other pokers in the fire this year. I don't know if they're gonna come out this year. Okay. I'm really hoping they will. Yep. I've got like in different stages too. Like we just finished recording a bunch of things like 2 weekends ago. So we're working on some more tracking, like different instruments. And then like I just finished up entirely a song yesterday, you know, with mixing, and now I got to get it mastered. But like, you know, like I have one completely finished that I've been sitting on for 8 months.
Why are you sitting on it?
I mean, I released so much last year that I wanted to give it a little bit of space. Before I release anything else. And then like, I guess why I'm sitting on it is because I don't know. I'm a little bit hesitant these days, to figure out the right way to release things. You know, as I mentioned, like the creating part has been like the fun part. You know, like now that I have the thing. You know,
now the promotional part.
And I hate that side of it. And most artists do, I feel like.
Yeah,
but
I think so too.
Some are good at it. Some people are really good at like marketing themselves. They can put a different hat on and be a different person. I just can't, man. Right. But so like I've been kind of like figuring out how to like, you know, how do I go about doing that in a way that kind of gets enough attention on these things where I feel good about it. Yeah, you don't want to feel like you sold your soul, right? Well, on the one hand, and at the same time, like I don't want to release it into the ether and no one ever hear it at all. It's like, did I make it at all at that point? You know, like, Yep. So like that's kind of why I've been sitting on it. I have to like put different projects like into different boxes in my mind. Like when I work with a specific producer, I tend to like think of the work that I do with them as like, this is the vibe we're doing. This is what we do. Right. Like I work with a guy who's got like a hip hop background. So the things I release with him are they're produced to a very high level. You know, they're very punchy. They're hip hop influenced. Right. I have like another guy I work with where he's more of like the live band sound, like you know, getting great drum sounds. Kind of started on that basis. I have another a friend, Leah Menaker. She's a local singer songwriter, and she's the one who produced this other song I'm sitting on at the moment. The stuff I do with her is very like acousticy pop, kind of in that world. And I use she has like this friend who's like a visual artist too, so I had videos made. Oh, cool. And they're all cartoons of myself doing something or whatever. Like, so I have like videos of this stuff. So I've been like, you know, those are on different projects. So that's like the second part of this project. I'm kind of waiting to wrap up. And part of it's like also like just stacking up enough cash to like make it happen in a way where it feels like I put enough money behind it to feel good about it. And like, I don't really understand how playlisting and algorithms and all this stuff works, and like it's just hard for me to kind of get my mind around it. And that makes me a little bit like apprehensive. I hear you. To like even venture into that world. So I'm trying to like tease it out, and you know, I tend to sit on things until I'm like ready to kind of really try to do something. You know, I don't know if that's a good strategy either.
I don't know either.
Some people are very much like, no, you should be releasing something every 6 weeks.
Yeah.
Period.
Right.
Like, it doesn't matter what you're eating, but like 6 weeks. And like, you know.
Well, there's that guy, Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V.
Yeah.
I mean, he talks about content all the time. He's saying you should make 3 to 4 pieces of content every day.
Yeah.
And, you know, and I get it. You know, if you're producing that much, then yeah, people are going to see it, but, and the algorithm's going to eat it up. Right. Yeah. But how can you do that? Like, I don't understand how it's possible.
It takes a lot of time, I feel like, you know, and I almost like you almost need like a degree in like social media marketing to make sure like it looks good and sounds good and kind of gets the attention of people in that way. So I'm not great at those things. And like, you know, in all honesty, I'm kind of just bumbling around with that kind of stuff.
What studio are you using?
Currently, I'm working a couple different places. I work with this a friend of mine named Jason Bachman. His studio is called the Juice Box. Okay. It's in Philly in Fishtown.
Nice.
And he's one of my favorite producers to work with, and I love the stuff we've done. He's moving away. They're moving to Ireland. Oh, wow. So I don't know what we're going to do in terms of like collaboration or whatever, but so I work with him. I'm working with Joey DiTullio, local music guy. He's out of Princeton these days. Yep. We're going up there to record with him the first time in a couple weeks. I work with Leah Menaker. She's like a home studio.
Oh, okay, cool.
Like that producer. I work with Chris Cotter at Tribe Sound, which is in Westchester. Nice. So like I kind of move around a little bit. Like
That's cool.
Like I think of certain people for certain projects.
Right.
When I write a song, I'm like, ooh, they might be interested in doing this song. My favorite producer ever to have worked with was a guy named Ken Barnum at a place called Bias Sound Studios down in Washington D.C. area.
Oh, okay.
They had Grammys sitting on their like on their console for like work they had done with Dave Matthews Live recordings. They had stuff from Mary Chapin Carpenter. Like it was crazy to see like a Grammy sitting there. You're like, holy crap! You know?
Yeah, right.
And they had done some really impressive shit over the years. Like that was like the upswing of like me putting out shit that I really thought sounded amazing. Yeah. And I still to this day think some of that's like my best work. You know, some of it.
Are you doing music full time, or do you have like a daytime gig? What do you do? What do you do for your regular day job?
I'm a teacher.
I
teach I'm a college professor these days. Nice. I teach at Rosemont College in Pennsylvania.
Oh wow!
In Bryn Mawr.
What like subject or whatever? German?
Some German adjacent stuff. Like currently, I teach a Holocaust class. I teach world religions classes. Intercultural communications. Yeah. So I'm kind of like one of those like dying breeds of like a humanities professor. Like I teach a little bit in a couple different disciplines. Which is a rarity these days because you know academia is a weird world anymore. But we've kind of like siloed ourselves into these specific disciplines. And how dare you?
Yeah, right.
How dare you teach something outside of your specific silo?
Right.
I'm not a big fan of that. Never been a big fan of that. Yeah. Plus, it's like there's not. I hate to say it. There's not a lot of opportunities for German professors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know, I've adjuncted for years. Like I taught at Rowan and at LaSalle and a couple places. You know, over time, like doing both German classes, but also like college writing classes. Yep. A lot of college writing classes actually, and then I taught like at the middle school level, believe it or not, German. Like I've kind of like had a bunch of different
jobs.
All
over,
yeah.
That's awesome.
But music's always been a secondary thing. And it honestly it allows me to kind of maintain some of the passion for it, perhaps, because like I don't have to feel like every gig has to make X amount of dollars or
a little bit less pressure for sure.
Yeah, I can't like I can't take the night off because I need that, like, you know, that's like a hard thing.
Yeah,
I can't take this weekend off to record because I need that, you know, the money I'm gonna make.
And God forbid you get sick or something and miss a few
whatever.
gigs.
Yeah, like, you know, and like frankly, I have a lot of friends who are like full-time musicians, and like I just don't want their lives.
Oh, really?
It's like, you know, and no offense if you're a full-time musician.
No, I'm not.
It's just. It's a really hard life these days. Like I have a song called "Friends with Benefits," right? And it's like, it was funny to me how that term changed meanings over the years. When I was younger, "Friends with Benefits" had certain
exactly. You were hooking up,
but like as I adjuncted and was kind of like a full-time musician doing that, like, because there's no like social safety net for you.
Yeah, sure.
There's no like anything.
You don't have any kind of benefits.
I didn't have a 401k till I was like 36 years old. Like I didn't. Listen, kids, I did not handle my finances well. Don't listen to Uncle Jason when it comes to investing your money. But what I will say is, like, you know, like I saw that like the gig world from like what I was doing in my day job as well as what I was doing in my own. I was just like, I don't want to do I don't want to do the gigging full time.
Okay.
I also tend to like I overuse my voice.
Oh,
so
really?
I've gotten like vocal cord nodules over the years.
Oh,
like,
really? Yeah.
And like it's more important to me to be able to play and sing.
Yeah. I worry about that a little bit because I have like the raspiness type of voice.
You gotta be real careful.
Yeah, and I don't have any professional voice training and stuff.
Yeah.
I've been singing now for about 2.5 years, like, pretty much every other weekend.
Yeah.
So it's something that's on my mind. Like, oh God, I hope I'm not doing damage.
Yeah, if you're interested, you should definitely check it out with a vocal coach.
Okay.
Just have a couple lessons, whatever, and kind of have with that in your mind, like and they can give you some really interesting.
I've been thinking about it. Any recommendations? Anybody you've worked with or know of?
I've worked with somebody at Woodbury.
Oh yeah.
Like the what used to be called Underwood.
Okay.
Hospital was now in Spear or whatever, but that was because I had actual nodules,
right,
so I had to kind of figure out a way around it.
Right.
They'll teach you things like forward focus in your voice, like kind of making it more like nasally sound like this, which works for me because I do a lot of twangy shit anyways. But like you can kind of change your voice, and if you like slightly raise your pitch up a little bit, you can actually avoid kind of hurting your voice. And they teach you some warm up stuff and some breathing things. And
interesting. Yeah.
Hydrating between every song.
Oh,
remember, and not beer.
Right.
Like,
Alcohol is like the worst thing you can drink for your voice.
That and like cigarettes and all the fun shit, caffeine. Like just don't do anything fun, kids.
Right, exactly.
If you want to have a voice where you can sing it, later in your life. And
so who are some of your inspirations, whether you're writing or just guys you like, whatever?
I started getting into the stuff that I do these days because of G Love.
Oh, really? G-Love Special Sauce?
Absolutely.
Yeah, man. I like cold beverages.
Yeah, me too. So that really, really kind of like opened my eyes. And I must have been like a junior in high school when I first like discovered G-Love. I lived in like Philly, so like we would go see him, like, play different gigs, like, Y100, festivals in the summer. We'd go like see him play twice, one on the side stage, on the main stage. Like it was great.
Yeah.
He was like a huge influence on me. That was when I was younger. I was really wanting to be like that, like have a little bit of hip hop influence, a little bit of blues, a little bit of folky, like, As I've gotten older, I've kind of like embraced more of my like country roots.
Okay.
Because like my great uncle was a full-time, legitimate, successful musician. His name was Dick Thomas.
Okay. He
wrote the song Sioux City Sue.
Really?
Which was like covered by Gene Autry and by Willie Nelson.
That's
like,
awesome.
I kind of never really embraced that side of my like world. Like I was kind of I didn't dislike country, but I kind of like shunned it for a little while.
Right, you just didn't have any interest in it.
Yeah,
right?
And like as I've gotten older, like I've started to really appreciate what it was always like about. Like this really great storytelling, great like melody, great simplicity when it comes to songs. And so like a lot of the modern stuff I'm doing, like the most recent stuff I'm doing, is probably like these days in the folk world, but it's probably influenced a lot by like outlaw country.
Okay.
Like Willie, like Waylon.
Yeah, sure.
Like that kind of stuff. Very simple 1-4-5s kind of, that kind of thing. With a little bit of influence from like, bluegrass people like, the Avets and some of that world. So yeah, I mean like these days, like my favorite, like some of the favorite artists I listen to now is Dawes. The band Dawes, they're fantastic. Like the lyricism there is through the roof.
I think is it DAWS?
DAWES.
ES. Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
Fantastic. Like the most unbelievable lyrics you're going to read.
Okay, I'll check them out.
Yeah, of course, always love, certain writers, and I try to listen to a little bit of everything.
Yeah,
I try to be super eclectic in what I listen to, and try to embrace whatever I can in that, while still trying to stay true to the things that make sense to me. I've never been like besides like the G-Love, trying to like emulate what he does, like I don't really, there's nothing there specifically I'm trying to emulate now, but it's kind of like just percolating through.
Okay.
Through over time.
What are you going to perform for us tonight? I see you've got a guitar case and some kind of briefcase thing.
Yeah. I brought my harmonicas. So
sweet.
Maybe I play something with harmonica.
All right.
I'll probably play a couple songs. Honestly, the biggest influence these days is my kids, man.
Okay.
Like,
how many do you have?
Just 2.
Okay.
I wish I had 1 million, but I only have enough.
How old are they?
12 and 7.
Okay, I've got a 9 and 11.
There you go.
Yeah, 2 girls.
Okay. Yeah, I got 2 of them, and a lot of what I think about in terms of writing, like in my influence these days, is a lot about them.
Okay.
And so I'm going to sing probably 2 different songs tonight that are about One's about my son. One my daughter helped me actually write. So,
oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did they show interest in music, like as far as participating in music?
Yes, my son plays bass. He's picked the kind of bass up pretty well already.
Yeah.
He's been playing that for about a year, but he played piano for a little bit, played trombone for the school band still for a couple of years now. But he's like really kind of gotten into the bass recently.
Okay,
it's kind of really cool to see.
Nice.
My daughter plays the piano.
Nice.
You know, as much as a 7-year-old plays the piano.
Sure.
I have to pretty much like tie her to the piano bench to like make her practice.
Yeah.
But you know, I was like, you know, I didn't practice as a kid. I should have. I wish, Dave, if I could go back.
Dude, I know. I was the same way.
I wish I would go back and talk to myself like, practice your damn scales on that piano. Spend an hour every day.
Yeah.
An hour every day, and you would be the most amazing piano player. But no, what do you want to do instead?
Yep. Run around outside.
Play video games.
Play video games, yep.
You know, do something stupid. You know, watch some TV show.
Right,
eat
exactly.
chips on the couch. Like,
yeah.
I wish I had like the foresight to know like this is going to come in handy. And if not, if it doesn't even come in handy, it's going to be cool.
Right.
It's going to be cool that you have this craft that you can like do. You know.
I know, right?
So like, you know, it's trying to get her to practice is a little tough.
I bet.
So yeah, anyways, I write a lot about them these days.
Okay, cool,
you know,
cool. All right, well, Jason, it was a pleasure having you on the podcast,
Thank you for having me.
Good.
This is great.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. All right, this song is called Imaginary Buckets. It's a song my daughter helped me write about a book that she had read in school about making sure that you're filling people's buckets up and not taking anything out of their buckets. I've been filling up imaginary buckets, big fat golden comic ducats. These days when I feel a bit stuck, it's like I'm gathering up a little bit of luck. It's like I'm paying it forward now. I used to fill red plastic cups, a little bit of moonshine and 7-Up, but these days, well, I've given it up, living like a wound up newborn pup. But I'm working toward it, yes, I'm working toward it now. And maybe it'll pay off someday, improve my bottom line. Don't hold your breath, they say, still I'm walking in sunshine. I guess it really shouldn't be that hard, so many people keep up their guards. Well, these days we all feel a bit scarred. I'm handing out some brand new business cards to say I'm paying it forward, I'm paying it forward now. I'm a rainbow filling up a pot of gold, a best kept secret never told. These days when I feel a bit cold, I fill up my bucket, warm my soul. And I'm working toward it, I'm working toward it now. And maybe it'll pay off someday, improve my bottom line. But don't hold your breath, they say, still I'm walking in that sunshine. Maybe it'll pay off someday, improve my bottom line. But don't hold your breath, they say, still I'm walking in that sunshine.
filling up imaginary buckets, big fat golden comic ducats. These days when I feel a bit stuck, it's like I'm gathering up a little bit of luck. It's like I'm paying it forward, I'm paying it forward now.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank you. This song is called Raising Cain. It's about fatherhood and trying to figure out how to do it the best way, and you know, not wanting to do everything for them so that they can learn how to do some things for themselves. You know, learning about, you know, failure, right? Learning about pain, you know, and trying to think about my own experience as a father, but also as a son, you know, so it's this kind of cyclical thing. I feel so damn sick, pit of my stomach, watching my little boy be the last one picked. Never seen his face in such pain. So I watch from the bench through my discontent to their big damn plans, like to throw a wrench. Never wanted him to feel pain. Or am I just raising Cain? Well, Adam's greatest sin, long after Eden, failed to teach them boys how to lose and win. Well, did he ever teach them about pain? My daddy had it rough, I guess that made him tough to save us from his fate. Perhaps he did too much. Did I ever learn about pain? Or am I just raising Cain? Am I just raising Cain? And now I wonder, have I made some type of blunder? 'Cause the pawns I move around have turned on me, to save him future agony. Must I let him bleed? A father's greatest hope, teach them how to cope. Now it feels like they've climbed without a rope. 'Cause did I ever teach them about pain? Like some master plan, sins of my old man hang over my head then and once again. Never thought I'd ever do the same. But am I just raising Cain? Am I just raising Cain? Am I just raising Cain?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thank you.